Life is cray. You know it, I know it. Nobody gave us a manual for any of it. But here we are figuring it out together. I'm Cate, and this is Life's Just Cray, a podcast where we talk through all the stuff that has you up until 2 a.m., talking with your bestie or mom, like, okay, but what would you do though? Real situations, real talk, no fluff. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you probably already know and just needed someone to say out loud. Now, real quick, before we get into this, I am not a therapist, I am not a professional, and I'm not here to tell you what to do. Everything I say comes from my own personal experience and my own perspective. My grandma always told me, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's how I move in life, and that's how I move on the show. I'm going to give you something to think about and push you in the direction that I may think is the right one. But what you do with it is up to you. Now, before I get into this, the voices you're going to hear reading these situations are AI generated, and all the names will be changed for confidentiality purposes. Okay, let's get started.
The parent showed up today, and I need you to hear this because it hits close to home for someone. Listen.
My mother-in-law, Patricia, has always had strong opinions about how I raise my children. In the beginning, I let most of it slide because I wanted to keep the peace, and I genuinely understood she raised her kids in a different era with different values, different generation, different approach. So I smiled, nodded, kept doing things my way when she wasn't in the room, and told myself that was a reasonable compromise. I was wrong. Over the past year, it has stopped being quiet opinions and turned into openly contradicting me in front of my children. And that is the line I cannot keep pretending does not exist. Last week, my son asked if he could have dessert before finishing his dinner. I told him no clearly and without drama. Finish your plate first, and then you can have dessert. The same rule we have had in this house since he was old enough to understand what a rule was. Patricia was sitting right at our kitchen table, and without a single moment of hesitation, she looked at my son and said, "Oh, let him have a little. One time won't hurt." He looked at her. Then he looked at me. And then he walked straight to the dessert like my answer had meant absolutely nothing. I stood there, humiliated, in my own kitchen, in front of my own child, by someone who does not live in this house, does not pay a single bill here, and will not be the one managing the habits and behaviors that form when children learn that rules are optional depending on who is in the room. And then I looked at my husband, who watched the entire thing happen and said not one word. He did not back me up. He did not redirect his mother. He did not even give me a look that acknowledged what had just happened. He just stood there like it was completely normal. When I brought it up later, he told me I was overreacting and that his mother was just being a grandma. But my son goes straight to Patricia now every single time I say no, because he has learned that grandma's yes overrules mom's no. That is not a dessert problem anymore. That is an authority problem. And it is going to grow into something much bigger if no one takes it seriously right now. I need someone to help me figure out how to handle this before it gets any worse.
I'm going to be straight with you on this one because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is skip the soft landing and just say it clearly. In this situation, you're gonna have to be the bad guy. And I know that's what no one wants to hear. No one wants to be the one who causes tension in the family or creates an uncomfortable dynamic at Sunday dinner. But the alternative is staying quiet and watching something that's already out of hand get completely unmanageable. And that's not an option anymore. Here's the reality of what's happening in your home right now. Your mother-in-law is overriding your decisions right in front of your child, and your husband is standing right there, allowing it to happen every single time. That's not one problem. That's two, sitting right next to each other. And you can't fix one without addressing both. Your husband needs to hear from you clearly and directly that his silence isn't neutral. Every time he stands there and says nothing, he's making a choice. He's choosing his comfort over your authority in your own home. And you two need to get completely aligned before Patricia even sets foot in your house again. Because the divided front is the only thing that's going to keep the cycle going. And as for Patricia, it's time to have that conversation that you've been avoiding. You don't have to be cruel about it, but you do have to be firm and you do have to mean it when you say it. Let her know clearly that when she's in your home, your rules stand. Not suggestions, rules. And when you say no, regardless of who else is in the room, it means no. They're not going to like it. Your husband may even push back. Patricia's going to get her feelings hurt too. Tough shit. Respect in your own home is not something you negotiate. It's something you require. And here's what I really need you to think about beyond right now. Your son is watching all of this, and he's learning in real time that when mom says no, there's someone else in the room who will say yes. That lesson doesn't just stay about dessert. It grows. Give it 5-10 years, and the things he learns to go around you on will not just be about food or bedtime. They'll be things that actually matter. The things that you actually need to know as his parent. The secrets that could affect his safety and well-being. Nip this now. Set the boundary hard, because the longer this goes unchecked, the harder it will be to walk back and the more it costs you down the road.
And that's a wrap on today's episode of Life's Just Cray, because life doesn't wait and neither do we. If you're not already following, make sure you hit that follow button wherever you listen to your podcasts and leave us a comment on your thoughts. It helps more people find the show, and trust me, they need to be here. Now, here's what I need from you. Slide into my DMs on Instagram or TikTok and let me know a common situation that you want my advice on, whether it be real life situation or hypothetical. Send it my way in writing and you might just hear it on the next episode. And remember, just because I've said this advice doesn't mean that you have to take it. You're the maker of your own decisions, but you must be willing to deal with consequences of your actions if there's any. Have a good one.